Here are the 3 key things you need to know about the Metro Denver real estate market in July 2023. The first key item you need to know is that mortgage rates are controlling the market right now. The average 30-year mortgage rate of 7% has really changed the dynamics of the market, especially considering that we were at 3 to 3.5% for a 30-year rate just 2 years ago. Now, by historical standards, the 7% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage is not a bad rate. The average since 1971 is actually a little bit over 7.5%. So by long-term historical standards, this is a good interest rate. However, we've just gotten trained and conditioned over the last several years to expect interest rates to be at 3, 4, even 5%. The chart I have up shows you this blue line is the 5% interest rate, and you can really see that interest rates on a 30-year mortgage did not drop below 5% until 2008, 2009 during the Great Recession. And then from the time of the Great Recession on, they'd been below 5% with one little bump kind of in 2018 where they got close to 5 or right at 5 and then fell back down. And then of course during COVID went to ultra low rates. And the problem is the American psyche is now stuck on low interest rates of 3, 3.5, 4%. So when people see these interest rates of 7%, it really changes the dynamic of what's going on in the market compared to just 2 years ago or even 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. Now that leads me into key stat number 2, and key stat number 2 is that buyers are not buying because the mortgage rates are high. There are 2 reasons. One, they've been priced out of the market potentially because of the move up and the change in their monthly payments due to the higher interest rates. And 2, some buyers are just sitting on the sidelines hoping interest rates will fall back down. Well, the chart I just showed you hopefully illustrates that interest rates may not move back down. And most economists are expecting now that interest rates will stay in the 6, 6.5, 7% range for the next year to 2 years, barring some sort of unknown economic shock to the system. Now, with that being said, buyers aren't buying, and you'll see that the number of sales in Metro Denver have dropped substantially, and that's what this next chart shows. So if you look at this next chart here, it talks about the number of sold listings in Metro Denver. And on average, we were running around 3,100 home sales per month in Metro Denver on a 12-month rolling average. And that average has now dropped to almost 2,400 a month, or just right at 2,400 a month. That's a 23% drop in sales activity because buyers are not buying. And to help illustrate this a little bit more too, let's talk about a specific example for a home buyer. So if you're a home buyer and you were looking at a $500,000 mortgage back 2 years ago and could get a 3.5% interest rate, the mortgage then would have cost you $2,245 a month at a 3.5% interest rate on a $500,000 mortgage. Today, that same $500,000 mortgage is going to cost you $3,326 a month, which is an $1,100 a month increase, or almost a 50% increase in your monthly payment because of the increase in interest rates. Now, another way to think about that is what would $3,326, which would now be your current mortgage payment on $500,000, what would have that gotten me if I had a 3.5% interest rate? And that'd be $741,000. So the borrowing power of a buyer for the same monthly payment has decreased $241,000 since 2021 when interest rates were running 3.5%. So that's why buyers are deciding to sit on the sidelines. Now, normally if buyers are sitting on the sidelines, you'd expect inventory to blow up substantially and increase substantially in Metro Denver. However, this leads us to key fact number 3 about the Metro Denver real estate market, and that is that homeowners are not wanting to sell their home. They're content on staying put in their current home. This next chart here shows you the number of new listings that are hitting the market on a monthly basis. And you can see very consistently that we were running around 3,500 to 3,600 homes a month coming on the market, all the way going back into 2012. And that stayed very consistent all the way up until just about September of 2022, and now we've seen the number of new listings coming on the market drop off substantially. So instead of 3,600 homes a month coming on the market, now we're seeing 2,800 homes a month coming on market. That's a 23% drop, which matches up with the 23% drop in buyer activity as well. And we'll talk more about that here in a second. Well, why are homeowners not wanting to sell? Again, it's high interest rate and high home prices. There's an interesting stat here that I came across the other day that 23.3% of homeowners with mortgages currently have an interest rate of 3% or less. 38% have an interest rate between 3 and 4% on their mortgage, and 19.9% have an interest rate between 4 and 5% on their mortgage. So in total, 81.2% of homeowners have an interest rate less than 5%. And you can see again, if you think back to that chart I'd flashed of the interest rates since 1971, a 5% interest rate was unheard of until 2008, 2009. So by historical standard, we have 81% of the homeowners with a mortgage that don't want to sell and go into a 7% mortgage, which is substantially higher than what they currently have. So they're deciding to stay put, stay at home, do home improvements, and not sell until something changes in the marketplace. And thankfully that is the case, because with the drop in buyer activity, if we had as many new listings coming on the market as we typically did, our inventory would be going through the roof right now, but it's not. Inventory has leveled out and has stayed very steady. That's what you'll see here on this next chart, is the number of active listings in Metro Denver. Right now we're hovering right around, on a 12-month rolling average, about 4,000 active listings per month. This is down. We were running around 4,800. So it is down. Inventory is still considered low compared to historical standards, and it's not climbing. And so as long as inventory doesn't climb, then we should see prices remain stable in the Metro Denver market, if not increase. And we are seeing slight increases in prices. And over the next 6, 12 to 18 months, most economists are not forecasting any kind of substantial change in interest rates. And without a substantial change in interest rates, we probably won't see a substantial change in buyer activity, and we won't see a substantial change in homeowners wanting to put their home on the market for sale. So, good news if you're a current homeowner, your home value should stay pretty stable, if not increase, over the next year to 18 months. Bad news is if you're a home buyer, you're going to still have limited selection in the market because a lot of homeowners don't want to sell. If you have further questions about your current home value or current market conditions in your specific neighborhood, feel free to give me a call and I'd be happy to talk to you further about that. Thanks and have a great day.